We've been discussing different aspects of the global food crisis. Among other issues, these include people not having access to enough food and the high environmental cost of food production, especially meat. Some people are convinced technology will help solve the food crisis. They argue that genetic engineering, for instance, could produce crops that resist disease or are better for us. Others feel that using technology to change nature in this way could not only make the food crisis worse, but perhaps cause ecological problems. Personally, I'm neutral on the value of technology as a potential solution to the food crisis. For me, it's just one among several options. Still, I asked all of you to research ways that technology might help. Let's hear what you found out, starting with Amal.
One technology that fascinates me is 3D printing, which I think will benefit society hugely. When I heard some 3D printers can print food, I was sure they would help with the food crisis. However, my opinion changed during my research. These printers work by printing layers of powdered ingredients on top of each other to produce an item of food. It's pretty amazing, almost like science fiction. But I'm not sure it will become an important technology. These printers might be able to add protein or other needed nutrients to foods in the future. Now, however, the machines are slow, expensive, and mostly produce non-essential foods like chocolate or candies. So I feel that printing food will be a niche technology at best, and I'd like to discuss aquaponics instead. Traditional agriculture involves either growing plants or raising animals for food. And aquaculture, or fish farming, involves raising fish in tanks or pens. Aquaponics combines growing plants and farming fish into a single system. For me, it has great potential to provide healthy, sustainable food. To understand aquaponics, think of two layers. On top are plants growing in nutrient-rich water rather than in soil. Below that is a tank of fish. Normal fish farms have a problem. In order for the fish to live in a healthy environment, farmers must filter and discard the waste that fish produce. The clever part of aquaponics is that instead of throwing away the waste, farmers use it as a nutrient for the plants. Aquaponics has some benefits over traditional agriculture. First, it produces vegetables and fish protein for people to eat. And although it looks like it needs a lot of water, the water can be recycled. I read that aquaponic systems use 90 to 98% less water than conventional agriculture, which is great for sustainability. Another benefit is that aquaponics doesn't require large areas of land. The farms are inside buildings, and these can be located anywhere, even in city centers. So food can be produced close to where people live, reducing energy and pollution costs from transportation and distribution. And aquaponics requires far less energy and resources than conventional farms. I even read that companies are developing LED light bulbs for this kind of farming. These bulbs use less energy than traditional lights. They also produce no heat, meaning they can be positioned close to the plants, which saves space. And different LEDs can produce specific types of light that are perfect for different crops. So, for instance, farmers might have one LED to help sweet potatoes grow, another just for strawberries, and one more for lettuce.
Thanks, Amal. That was interesting. And for what it's worth, I agree that 3D printing of food does not seem like an obvious solution to the food crisis. Austin, are you ready?
Okay, well, my experience was the opposite of Amal's. I started researching a technology for growing meat in a laboratory. At first, I was skeptical and didn't think the technology would be important. As I researched, though, I came to think it has a lot of potential as a sustainable solution to the food crisis. The technology is pretty simple to explain. Scientists take cells from the muscle of an animal, such as a cow, chicken, or fish. They add a special enzyme to the cells that makes them divide, and over time they grow into a sheet of edible meat. Some of you may remember a news story about this from a few years ago. Some Dutch scientists made a burger from meat grown in their lab. At the time, there were two problems. The flavor apparently wasn't perfect, and the burger cost a crazy $325,000. Still, growing cells is basic technology, so the price has dropped substantially and will continue to do so. According to my research, the same hamburger would now cost closer to $10 and taste much better. And the process of growing cells can easily be scaled, meaning it will be possible to produce meat or fish cells cheaply and in enough quantity to feed a lot of people. The process doesn't need huge amounts of agricultural land, water, or energy, so it's sustainable. And there is one other thing that excites me about this technology. The process doesn't harm animals. I know many people don't eat meat because of concern for animals, and I think some of them might be willing to eat this meat. If my local store started selling meat grown in a lab for a decent price, I'd buy it for sure.
Thank you, Austin. Also interesting.